Thank you, and welcome friends to episode 8 of Hobson's Choice. I'm Michael G. Hobson, and in this episode the G stands for the General John Kelly face hide. Now, there are variations to the face hide. There is the slow face hide and the quick face hide. We have seen in public both versions, but I'm sure there are many other versions that appear whenever the general sits in on private meetings. Which version would probably depend on the severity of the talk and the possible danger that could ensue if the Mad Hatter's plans were to become real. A land war with North Korea? With all due respect, Mr. President, that would not be a good idea. But tell you what, let's shelve that idea for now. We need to address more pressing matters. Your fight with the Senate Majority Leader? With all due respect, sir, discussing his impotency doesn't do anyone any good. That is an issue that should be decided by Congress, the voters, and especially his wife. Insulting the Puerto Rican people after a catastrophic hurricane? With all due respect, sir, we need to stay positive and helpful. It doesn't look good to berate a mayor who is wading through chest-deep water to help her citizens. Now, the general appeared on the scene at an opportune time. The Mad Hatter was wild with power, in his words and his execution. The Republicans insisted someone had to be in position to say no to the Mad Hatter. Someone the Mad Hatter would listen to and not just berate and kick out of the office, like the former chief of staff. And the Mad Hatter does love him some generals. Tastes good in his mouth when he says, "My friend, the general." Kelly is a retired Marine general whom the Mad Hatter had appointed Secretary of Homeland Security shortly after assuming power. A veteran of more than 4 decades in the military with a list of impressive credentials. And the Mad Hatter does love him some generals. There was chaos in the White House. It was obvious to even a child. Disorder. Sensing a need for his services, the general accepted the job for his country and immediately set out to stabilize the unstable and direct the aimless. He had to have known there would be days when the shock and awe desires of the Mad Hatter could not be contained, and he had to expect damage control to be a major part of the position. Like a mother hen picking up after her chicks, the general would be constantly cleaning up a mess. That's why the face hide is such a defining feature in the man. Not only is he ashamed by the words he hears, he imagines the cleanup afterward. It's a 2-layer face hide. Or maybe there's more than just the 2 layers. Maybe it also includes a sense of embarrassment the country will feel afterward, or a sense of loss at his inability to contain the extremes. Is the general losing confidence, or is he just getting tired? He has seen so many extremes, so many fires stoked either on Twitter or from behind a podium. Maybe he's not fazed at all, and it's just a natural reaction to it. Here we go again, face hide. Russia? Face hide. Race issues? Face hide. Healthcare? Face hide. The media? Face hide. And hold head. That's a big one. Not like the little ones. Puerto Rico is an island surrounded by water. Big water. Ocean water. Who knew Puerto Rico would be so important? Who knew there were Americans there? Who knew it was an island surrounded by big water? That wouldn't produce any more than a slight face hide from the general. The first time the public saw the General John Kelly face hide was the afternoon of August 15th, when the Mad Hatter came down from his isolation chamber in his tower to speak about money, only to get sidetracked and get lost within the echo chamber of his own mind as reporters shouted questions about Charlottesville. The carefully crafted phrases amid a reasonably stated tone from the day before disappeared as the views from an unreserved segregationist came up. As the Mad Hatter continued to dig a hole through the lobby floor, the cameras panned to the side and showed the general staring down at the floor, arms crossed, trying to hide his face inside his shoulders. As the Mad Hatter grew angrier and the hole grew deeper, the first General John Kelly face hide came into view. The general knows that when the Mad Hatter talks, he talks for all the people who live inside the Mad Hatter's head. When the Mad Hatter says, "Many people tell me," or "I've heard from many people," He's actually talking about the voices he hears in his head. Voices that are always telling him how smart he is, how popular he is, and how much he is loved. Before the second face hide was unveiled at the United Nations, something happened after Charlottesville. The Mad Hatter held a campaign rally in Arizona so he could defend his words without actually using his words. "Don't believe me," he said. Believe me. After the Mad Hatter finished vindicating himself, he shouted invitations to the few names in the audience to join him on stage. 2 politicians listened, but General John Kelly was nowhere to be found, even after the Mad Hatter introduced him to the roar of the crowd. The Mad Hatter was clearly disappointed that the general did not come when called. Instead, the general was probably in a car on the way to the airport to board a quick flight out of town. "Get me the hell out of here," he probably instructed his driver. But something made him come back to the Mad Hatter, probably duty and service. Now to the second General John Kelly face hide, the United Nations, when the Mad Hatter threatened to destroy North Korea. He didn't threaten to destroy the regime or the military. He threatened to destroy North Korea, to kill 20 million people. The general's face hide showed that he was ashamed, embarrassed, frustrated, tired, and fed up. The full gamut, for there was the president standing up at the podium giving a speech at the World Body for Peace to the entire world, threatening to commit a war crime. Now, when will the next General John Kelly face hide occur? Nobody knows, but we know it's coming. Till next time, my friends, be well.